Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Don Odells Legends. My name is Art Tipaldi. I'm the editor of Blues Music Magazine. If you're interested in our magazine, check us out online at bluesmusicmag.com, or you can now check us out on newsstands as we are available at Barnes & Noble across the country. And today this is the Don Odell triple play, if you will. This is the third interview in the last 3 months I've gotten to do with a 2019 Blues Music Award winner. Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased today to have the Best Emerging Artist debut album, Amanda Fish. Welcome, Amanda.
Hi.
So this past May, we were just talking, you were honored at the Blues Music Awards with the Blues Music Award for Best Emerging Artist. But emerging artist sounds like you just hit upon the scene. You've been on the scene for quite a while now, 6, 7 years, recording. You've got 2 albums out.
Yeah.
So it must be rather validating to have the industry and the fans honor you that way.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I still haven't processed it,
Yeah.
to be honest. It's still one of those things, I pass by it every day at home. It's on the shelf, and I just kind of like, it's in the corner of my eye, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Does that kind of thing give you a push to make the next one even better as an artist? Or does it satisfy what you've already done?
I don't. I don't look to anything else to give me a push to be better, because I don't know. I don't want to rely on anything external.
Okay.
You know, like if the next record is better, it's because I'm a better musician, a better songwriter. I don't want to I don't want to start looking to other things to be like, am I better based on this metric? Because then it's not the truth.
Yeah, yeah. Does it? You've been at the IBCs and you've made it to the semifinals, and now you walk away with this. So that must also be rather gratifying to know that you're reaching people at every point in your career.
Yeah, like you know, the IBCs was just so fast, but I was already going to Memphis. I mean, I'd been going to Memphis. That was my 3rd year down at the IBCs. It was just my 1st year competing. And, you know, the whole thing is just a couple of days. And I would go and I would do this, and I just kind of looked at it as additional showcases.
Yeah.
Because I had already set up showcases down there.
That's right.
And, you know, I tried not to get my head too much into, like, the competition. But, yeah, like, after that, and then kind of coming home and getting the IBC off of me.
Yes, yeah.
And we started touring, which we did pick up an agent from
the
IBC. Yeah,
Very
from
cool.
competing.
Yeah.
And so then I was able to start touring, and then, you know, just to get away from kind of all that pressure.
Yeah.
We were able to be artistic, and then everybody's like, oh, you're great. And I'm like, because I just got away from it all.
Yeah.
I was in it for too long, and then, you know, once I kind of got away from it, that's when and then everybody loved it after that.
Yeah. You're one of those very special artists who don't make it to the IBC finals, but take that experience to the next level in your own career. You know, to again, have an award-winning debut album out there, to get an agent while you're there, representation. There's a whole lot of musicians who go to the IBC and you know, walk away kind of angry that out of the 200 bands, you know, but you can't go in it that way.
It's 200 bands.
Yeah, I know.
Like, what do you think?
Yeah.
It's better to go into the IBC with, you know, like, the competition. You do want to have your best set, but that's got to be secondary.
Yeah.
Honestly, truly, like, your biggest concern should be, how do I meet people?
Exactly.
How do I shake hands with people? How do I get to know them? You know, and go there for years before you ever compete.
That's right.
And competing doesn't mean you're gonna win.
No.
Ever.
No.
The whole competition, if you go down for the competition, you've already lost.
That's right. Yeah. You're not you're not in it for the right reason if you're going down for competition.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of people. We mentioned Kevin Barry as we were coming in here, who runs the Bonita Springs. There's a whole lot of guys with festivals who don't have the big budgets, who go down there and they go, oh, I want that person. I want that person.
Yeah.
And they give gigs to a lot of people who are deserving, you know, who are there, as you say, for the right reason.
The majority of the gigs that I play now, the festivals and the venues, I've already met those people. I met them in Memphis.
That's
you know,
cool.
so it's not, you know, that I'm coming out here for the first time. Like, it doesn't feel like it's truly first time, because I've already known these people for years. It's just on their home turf.
Yeah.
And that's the point. Is like, you get to meet people from all over the world in one place for 1 week.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
And you're so right about you're so right about all over the world, because there are talent buyers from Europe who are coming over, Canada, South America even. So that's a great way to look at things. Yeah, nice. So is there something in the genetic code of the fish family that leads you to music? I mean, you and your sister are both involved in music at a high level. Is there something? Does your family have music in its past?
Yeah. Well, my mom, you know, was like, she won awards and stuff for her singing.
Oh, really?
And
Okay.
her violin playing, and
oh, nice.
my dad played guitar, and they used to have their buddies come over and, you know, sit around the table and play guitars, and so we'd get to hang out with the adults and you know, play guitars and stuff.
Oh,
I mean, that's how it
neat.
started. It was just around us.
Right. Were you drawn? Because I see you as a vocalist first, guitar player, bass player second. Would that be fair?
That's accurate.
Okay. Were you drawn to your mom and her singing more than your dad and his guitar?
I think I was drawn to both equally, because for me to sing, I always wanted to be self-sufficient and not rely on somebody else to accompany me.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously my mom taught me so much, but my dad, I would go to him to be like, how does this thing work, the guitar? How does that work?
Yeah.
And he sat me down and he goes, okay, this is called power chord. I'm like, thanks, I'm good now.
Oh, really?
That's all I need, power chords.
Yeah. I can get through. Were you playing guitar at a younger age, or were you primarily singing as a preteen? You know.
I think I started playing guitar like 13.
Okay.
But I was singing like when I was 8.
Yeah. Now, besides your mom, who else were you listening to to learn what you know?
There's a lot to pull from there.
Yeah.
You know, obviously that was a big time for divas. So, you know, there was Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Christina Aguilera. They were all on the radio. I'm talking about the 90s.
Yeah. That's when my daughters were listening to that stuff too, so I know what they were. Yeah.
But I also read a lot of guitar magazines, and so I really got into, like, Shannon Karfman was a big one. Sheryl Crow was a big one. You know, like Michelle Branch. I read Michelle Branch got a guitar when she was 14, I think, when I was about that age, and I was like, I should get a guitar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they were, you know, 3 women that were just awesome.
Right. Now you write a lot. I mean, you've written everything on these 2 CDs as originals. Were you writing your own songs at that age to go with your guitar playing, or were you writing just poetry because that's, you know, what you were interested in school, and then trying to vocalize it?
I tried to start writing, I think when I was about 10, but it wasn't until I was like 12 when I got into Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh, wow.
When I started like going, oh, okay, this is how songs work, you know? And I was able to like mature through my songwriting, and you know, not like what a wacky world we're living in, which was what I was writing when I was like 9 and 10 years old. To go from that to, you know, some darker stuff.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of writing your own songs versus just covering other people's? What that what that satisfies in you?
Ooh, wow. Well, writing my own songs satisfies in me. Well, there's the occasional song that I'll cover, and a lot of my live shows doing covers. But when it comes to writing my own stuff, that's my story that I'm telling.
Okay. Is it? I always wonder about songwriters who have to sing their story every night. Shamika sings Ghetto Child and dedicates it to her father. Clapton does Tears in Heaven. Does it affect you that you relive those parts of your life every night, or every time you sing it, or is it cathartic?
It's very cathartic, but it also, as I get further and further away from whatever incidents,
Sure.
Inspired those songs in the first place, that gives me added perspective.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I sing it, it's almost like I discover something new.
That's cool. Sure.
In those songs every time I sing them.
Yeah.
Just as I grow up.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. Again, would it be fair to say that Free is a little more upbeat songwriting than Down in the Dirt?
Well, yeah, because it was in such a terrible place well, Down in the Dirt was, keep in mind, when I wrote most of Down in the Dirt, I was going through a divorce.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And this was, kind of around the same time that, before the divorce, I was before the marriage, actually, I had come through a period of time where I'd been homeless.
Okay. Wow.
And so that's a lot of Down in the Dirt is from the homeless period, but it's also from the divorce period because
it's
in that process I was
lens.
also shifting homes again, and it was bringing all that other stuff up. So it was pretty dark, but Free was kind of
I just hear that song Blessed, and I'm just loving it. I can feel that release in that song.
I learned so much.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the artist's mission, is to take the internal and make it public so that other people can learn with you and can feel like you're helping them through a hard time. And that's what I get out of this CD especially.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're going to make me cry.
Well, I'm already crying, so so this is actually the first Don Odells where I've cried. No, I cry at weight loss commercials when they drop the pants. I'm a blubber.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So guitar, bass. You're now playing bass. Is that correct?
I play bass.
Yeah. So what are you working hardest at this point in your career? Singer, bass player, guitarist, songwriter, band leader.
Well,
pick your poison.
Playing bass just enabled me to be more of a band leader.
Yeah.
And that's honestly where that comes from.
Okay.
And every night that I play, I get better at it.
Yeah.
And I kind of dig deeper, and I can find things that make the groove harder.
Okay.
But.
Could I just interrupt? I've talked to Danielle, I've talked to Biscuit, and they've talked about the difficulty of being a bass player and singing. Is that true? Do you find that?
This is my philosophy of playing bass and singing. Say that the bass player and the singer are two separate people.
Right.
I'm the singer, and while I'm singing, my bass player is noodling all over the place and driving me nuts. Right?
Sure.
Because that's my moment to shine
Right.
as the vocalist.
Right.
So if my bass player's being super busy on those parts, I'm going to kind of fire that guy.
Right.
You,
right.
you know?
Yeah.
But I don't, when I stop singing, the bassist can be a little bit more flashy.
Yeah.
But the whole point is to support the vocal.
The vocals. And you know what you want.
When that's one person,
Right.
I'm not going to overplay over my vocal.
Right, right.
I'm going to kind of lay back and let my vocal doing the
Sure.
shining for that amount of
Mhm,
time, and
mhm.
then when my vocal's done, then I can kind of switch gears and go
Get
more into
back to the
bass.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's how I always looked at it. That was my justification for playing bass in the first place. Is, well, that's not why people come to see me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if I can get to the point where I can, because I started a different band
Mhm.
and played with a different band called the Bitter Disappointments
Okay, okay.
for like about a year and a half.
Yeah.
And that's really where I really learned to play bass. I hired a blues guy on guitar and a
Right.
country guy on guitar,
Okay.
and then a drummer that could do both. And the drummers supported me, and the blues guy and the country guy were both also bass players,
Right.
so they were able to teach me,
Yeah.
you know, how to play along to what they were doing. And it just, yeah, for that year, I would take other gigs as this other band.
Oh,
And
wow.
in
Right.
addition to Amanda Fish, and like
Yeah.
it helped me grow on the instrument.
That's
So when I
cool.
actually took over on it, I actually knew a little bit of what I
That's
was
very
doing.
cool. Yeah, yeah. Did do you feel at times that you want to play guitar in the band? Or I don't know how good a guitar player you are, because I've just seen you really as a vocalist and then as a bass player, vocalist.
I play guitar sometimes when my drummer's my husband, right?
Okay.
And there are times when we just do duo gigs,
Yeah.
and I'll play guitar for that.
Okay.
And I actually really like it. I've been, you know, tweaking my pedal board and getting everything how I like it. And, you know, we've been developing out, like, when I write everything on guitar.
That's what I was going to ask you next. Yep.
Yeah, so like I really enjoy playing guitar, and I would like to ideally get to a point where I have a guitar player, a bassist, and a drummer, and I can play guitar, piano.
When needed.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
play, you know, mandolin if I
Yeah,
want to.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it just whatever the song calls for,
Right.
and just kind of be free to do all
Yeah.
of the things or none of the things.
Yeah. Now, when you say what the song calls for, when you've written a song, how do you do the instrumentation? Do you have that in your head as you're writing it, or is that something you and your husband work out? Or do you take it into the studio or the stage with your band and say, let's try different versions? How does that happen, that magic?
When I first started writing, it was just me and a guitar,
Okay.
and I couldn't picture anything beyond that.
Mhm.
And when I switched to bass, I started being able to not just pick up bass parts, but I could hear the whole
Yeah.
arrangement in my head. And yeah, now I can hear it all, kind of everything that I want.
Mhm.
So when we go into the studio, I have a picture of exactly what I want
Right.
in my head.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You're on the road as a trio for the most part?
Yeah, for the most part.
yeah.
Except this time, for this particular tour, I took my mom out with me,
I
and
see.
she's doing vocals, and then we're meeting guitar players, depending on the area we go to. We're
Yeah.
only out for like a week this time,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Tyler's doing all the
Oh, that's great.
New England stuff,
Sure.
and then we got somebody for the Canada dates.
Excellent, great. While you're on the road, what's the importance of the road been to you in terms of developing your credentials, your artistry?
Well,
Is the road something that is necessary for a musician / artist to grow?
yeah, yeah. You know, in a local scene, especially if you're heavily involved, and I used to be pretty heavily involved,
Yeah.
you can kind of lose track of what's important, and you can kind of get things twisted up or backwards.
Yeah.
But once you kind of get out of your own little local bubble and you get out on the road,
Right.
and you're meeting a bunch of new people, new faces every night, and everybody is warm and supportive, and some people hate you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But getting all of that mix of everything, it just changes everything. It changes your whole personality,
Sure. Yeah.
you know, and your life, and it makes you go, oh, okay, I had that wrong.
Yeah.
You know, or this is a thing that I was actually on a good track with, and everybody told me that I was wrong, and I didn't, you know, but I always,
Yeah.
and just getting out here and kind of getting to see everything for yourself,
Yeah.
you begin to realize and mature.
Yeah, and I would imagine that, you know, as a young woman, as a band leader, there's experiences that you're having, you know, every time you go out that help build your character and what you want to be doing as that band leader. You know, I've certainly interviewed my share of young women band leaders, and it's not the easiest of jobs out there. You don't have to.
Well, you know, it's the most amazing thing I've ever done.
Yeah, yeah.
I worked security before this.
Really?
I was a security guard.
Okay.
And I waited tables.
Okay.
We had a really light winter, and I waited tables
This past winter? Oh my goodness.
I worked in a Waffle House.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I was a Billboard charting artist working in a Waffle House.
Yeah.
Which was so good for me because, you know, once you start getting a good idea about who you are, and you know, you start feeling really good about yourself, and then you go wait tables, and you go, oh, my ego needs to die. I didn't realize it was starting to go unchecked.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've worked some really crappy jobs.
Yeah.
And I can't complain about this.
No. That's a great attitude. You know, you make me think of Toronzo Cannon. Do you know Toronzo?
Yeah.
Who's a bus driver. And he does that in the week in Chicago, in the worst parts of the city, and then in the weekends he tours. And you get to hear the stories of people around you, and you know, they become part of the art that you're creating. Yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that growth from the regional local artist to a more national, and how you do that, something like that. How you take what it takes to do that, what you have to give up, what you have to commit to go from Kansas City, right? This very vibrant Kansas City scene.
Well, I live over in St. Louis now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But back when you started performing, you know, before the Blues Blast Awards, what was that, 2014, 2015?
2016 was the Blues Blast.
So maybe 2014, 2015, when
Yeah.
you're just starting to put your toe in those waters,
Yeah.
you've got to trust the universe that you can, you know, do that and make that kind of commitment to building something. Yeah.
You know, when you want it, I honestly, I mean, I know now what I've given up, because you begin to miss those things. But it was kind of backwards for me, like most people miss home and miss family and stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have a really great home, and once I started going out and touring, I was able to kind of afford like a better place, and we got into a better place and moved to a new city, and you know, now I've really made a home. I have a home at home, and I do miss that, and I miss my little dog, and you know, but if you want this, it becomes second nature to put other things.
And the rewards
aside.
and the rewards for this, I imagine, are when that one person in a show comes up to you out of 1,000 and says, "That song you did, blah blah blah, touch," you know. I can imagine. I've stood at the tables when the artists are signing, and I've heard the gentle little whispers that fans, mothers, fathers, teenagers give to people. That
I was a person saved by music.
Oh, nice.
You know, for me it was 9 Inch Nails, but you know, for other people they can hear my stuff and they
That's
can.
nice. Good.
You know, I've had a lot of people come up and tell them how much something means to them.
Yeah.
And they cry and I cry. I cry just thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know, and I get it.
Well, you're one of the righteous ones, and you're doing a great job out there. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, Amanda Fish, winner of this year's 2019 Blues Music Award for Best Emerging Artist Debut Album, and that debut album is called Free by Amanda Fish. And thank you so much for being here tonight. Have a
Thank
great
you.
show. Yeah.